Hi Year 3, it is Tuesday the 26th of January and this is your science lesson. So today we are learning to know the purpose of an endoskeleton in a human being. We are learning to begin to name some of the bones in the human body. So to be successful today, we are going to talk about why we need a skeleton and what it does to protect humans. We are also going to learn some of the names of different bones in a human skeleton. What do you think would happen if a human did not have a skeleton? Pause the video now and have a think. Okay, hopefully you had a think about that. And actually, if a human didn't have a skeleton, we wouldn't be able to stand up. We wouldn't have anything holding us up. We wouldn't have anything to protect our muscles because our bones are the hard pieces in our body which protect all our soft, important pieces like our hearts and our stomachs and our kidneys and our lungs and our brains. Humans have an endoskeleton. What does that mean? So see if you can remember from last week what an endoskeleton is. Pause the video now. Let's see if you're right. So an endoskeleton is when the skeleton is on the inside of your body. So it cannot be seen by just looking at somebody because it is in the inside underneath our skin. Okay, so what I would like you to do now, before we go any further, is I would like you to pause the video and I would like you to draw a body like this one here. Inside the body, I want you to draw a skeleton. I want you to draw a human skeleton. Where do you think the bones are? Feel your bones to see what size and shape they are. So before we go any further in our lesson, I want you to have a go at drawing a skeleton inside a body before we do any more learning. And remember to feel your own to help you. Pause the video now. So, this is a human skeleton, a more detailed human skeleton than this one. The human body is made up of 206 bones. However, a baby is born with 300 bones. What do you think happens to the 94 bones as you become an adult? Welcome back. Now that was a tricky question. So what happens to these 94 bones is that they fuse together to some of the other bones to then create bigger bones. So a baby has 300 smaller size bones, and as they begin to grow into older children, into teenagers, into adults, some of those bones start to fuse together, join together to create bigger bones. So actually we don't lose any bones. They don't drop out of our bodies. We don't go to the toilet and lose one. They fuse together to create bigger bones. Now the bones' jobs in our bodies are to protect our organs, support our body and enable us to move. Without our bones, our organs would be very vulnerable and they would be able to be hurt very easily. Our body would not be able to support itself, so we'd be very, very floppy, a bit like jelly, and we wouldn't be able to move around like we do now. So what do you think our skull does? What is the job of our skull? Is it there to protect, to support, or to move? Pause the video now and have a think. Our skull is there to protect, and our skull's job is to protect our vital organ, our brain. So our brain is very, very vital. It is important. If any damage is done to our brain, that could potentially be a life-changing impact on us. Okay, what about our spine? Is it our spine's job to protect, to support, or move? Pause the video now and have a think. Our spine is our central support structure. However, it also helps us to move as it is a chain of bones. So our spine is really, really important to support our body. It goes all the way from our hips up to the very base of our neck. So that helps us to stand up straight. It helps us to stand at all, to be able to stand. Okay, but it also helps us to move around. So our spine is made up of a chain of lots of bones, which means that we can bend over and we can bend to the side. Some very flexible people can bend over the other way and do a crab. So it does allow us to move as well. What do our knees do? These are called joints, where our bones meet together. If you see here, we've got our upper leg bone, our lower leg bone, and then we've got the knee joint in the middle where the two come together. Do you think our knees' jobs are to protect, support, or move? Pause the video now. Our knee joints help us to move our legs. So our knees help us to bend our legs so that we can do certain things more easily. Here is an adult skeleton that has been labelled. So we've got all our important bones here. I'm going to go from top to bottom and then back down the other side. So we've got our skull, our jaw, our shoulder blade, our upper arm bone, our backbone, otherwise known as our spine, our wrist bone, our finger bones, our ankle bones, toe bones, and then we'll come back up to the top. On this side we've got the collarbone, which is where your collar sits on your shirt at school, our breastbone, which is like our chest, rib and rib cage, lower arm bone, hand bones, there's another lower arm bone, there's two there, hips, thigh bone, kneecap, lower leg bone, foot bones, and another lower leg bone. Oh, I know why, because there's two bones in our lower leg. We've got one along our shin and one along the back of our leg as well, which you can't actually feel very well because of our calf muscle. We've got a very thick layer of muscle there. Okay, I'm going to play Simon Says, and you need to touch the bone that I say. Obviously, I don't know if you're doing it right, but hopefully I'll be able to point to it afterwards and you'll know for yourself if you were right or not. Simon says, touch your collarbone. Okay, so you should be touching this bone here, which is where your collar sits. You should be able to feel it sticking out. Simon says, touch your wrist bone. Okay, so now you should be touching your wrist bone here, so right at the top of your hand, where your hand meets your arm. Simon says, touch your jaw. Okay, you should now be touching under your chin, at the bone under our chin. Touch your hips. Ah, fooled you. I didn't say Simon Says. Okay, so your independent activity now is to draw a new skeleton next to the picture of the skeleton that you drew at the beginning of the lesson. So we should be able to see a before and an after. So what you thought our skeleton looked like before we did any learning about it, and what you think our skeleton looks like now. So you need to think about including as many of the bones as you can. Now, obviously, it's going to be really, really tricky to get all 206 bones into our picture. But think really carefully about the shapes. We've got 2 bones in each lower leg and each lower arm. You could draw in all the different ribs, the spine, the hips. Okay, look carefully at the shapes, very carefully. You can also label some of these key bones with a pencil and a ruler and see how many of those key bones that you can remember. If you do need to pause the video, rewind it, fast forward it, then obviously you can to help you. But see how many of the bones you can remember first before you look back previously in the video. Have a go and see what your brain can remember all on its own. Okay, and then what we should see at the end is a before skeleton and an after skeleton, and hopefully our after skeleton will look much more detailed and will be a lot more accurate. Fingers crossed. Okay, so we have now finished our lesson. You can upload a picture of your learning to Twitter and tag @Swingate Primary, or your Year 3 teachers would love to see your before and after pictures, so you could send a picture to us to the Year 3 email address. Good luck everybody, have lots of fun, and I'll see you next time.